This is my 5-minute clear of the Floor 12 Spiral Abyss in patch 1.4. I will display my character's gear at the end of the video. First up, we have a Ganyu AoE burst team with no healer. It is a mashup of the Ganyu Xiangling melt composition, along with a pair of Geo characters, Albedo and Zhongli. The way this works is we cast all our skills and bursts in sequence, while protected by the burst invulnerability frames. Right at the end, we can cycle through everyone's elemental skills a second time. Both Geo Bishops should be really low by now, and easily finished off with a couple of charged shots. My second team is a more traditional Diluc and Xingqiu vaporized composition. It has strong sustained damage and very good survivability when paired with Bennett. Venti isn't the best choice for this floor, because he specializes against numerous small enemies, but he is generally an all-round useful character anyway. Once we have Diluc's and Xingqiu's bursts active, they output good sustained damage. The trick to this composition is maintaining enough energy to feed both Diluc and Xingqiu, because if either of their burst abilities drop, your DPS falls dramatically. Venti and Bennett usually cast their skills and allow other characters to pick up their elemental particles. In contrast, I don't really need to manage my energy much in my first team. Although it is a burst-oriented team, if their energy runs out, Ganyu and Albedo can still both output strong sustained damage. Chamber 2 will be the slowest chamber. We have bad matchups on this floor. Both Ganyu and Diluc face enemies resistant to their damage type. Also, I use Chamber 2 as an opportunity to recharge my energy to face Chamber 3. In my view, there are only two viable Ganyu compositions. One is a Ganyu Xiangling melt composition, which I'm using now, but you must have Zhongli for his shield. This team plays at close range, and the shield allows you to tank the enemy hits instead of dodging and interrupting your charge shot. Also, Xiangling needs high investment, as she is expected to output high damage as well. It is hard to predict whether Ganyu or Xiangling will trigger the reactions, and at the end of the day, both benefit from having good stats. The other option is a Ganyu freeze composition paired with Mona, the only reliable hydro applicator besides Child Constellation 4, which is out of reach of most players. This team plays from long range and controls the enemy with freeze. If you don't have Zhongli or Mona, I'm afraid it will be hard to make good use of Ganyu. As mentioned previously, I will be saving energy on this chamber, and the enemies here are resistant to Pyro, so it will be a very slow clear. While these Fatui Pyro agents do very high damage, Xingqiu's Rain Swords reduce damage taken by 45%, and Bennett's Burst heals for 4000 hit points per second, neutralizing their threat. Anyway, I will talk about the elephant in the room, character gear. One huge problem when talking about games like this is that it's only really challenging at a specific gear level, when you are just strong enough to overcome the challenge by playing flawlessly. Fighting it when you are overgeared for the content means you can make mistakes and still finish with heaps of time to spare. Does this make videos like this meaningless? Perhaps not. I have often found inspiration for strategies and team compositions by watching clips of other players attempting the same content, at gear levels both below and above what I have. Diluc doesn't output as high damage as carries like Hu Tao, Ganyu or Xiao, but he makes up for it by being able to break Geo shields with his Claymore, and being a really consistent performer. Xiao needs a dedicated Anemo battery to fuel his burst. Hu Tao's hit point management adds another layer of complexity to her character, and Ganyu, as mentioned, needs either Mona or Zhongli. Most players find Chamber 3 the hardest. However, I have full energy on my characters since I was saving it on Chamber 2, so we can finish this super quick. It plays out identical to Chamber 1. I have to say, Zhongli is an amazing support character, and I have not even properly farmed artifacts for him. Not only does his shield absorb 15,000 damage and shred 20% resistance from enemies, his burst also deals over 50,000 damage and costs just 40 energy. Here, I tank the Ruin Guard's hit instead of dodging, allowing me to maximize my damage. In this chamber, the two Ruined Raiders have a huge HP pool, over 700,000 hit points each. Ideally, I'd like to keep both Ruined Raiders together to maximize my AoE damage, but they end up in different locations during this fight. With Bennett's high healing output and Xingqiu's range out damage reduction, I can practically ignore the Ice Claw trap that appears periodically. It actually does a lot of damage if your composition isn't as tanky as this one. You would ordinarily need to disengage from the enemy and prepare to dodge the Ice Claw before it hits you. At the 30-second mark, I start my second DPS rotation. As mentioned earlier, this composition needs to keep energy generation high, so you can constantly use your burst. I first cleared the Abyss with max stars in late December 2020, with about 30 seconds to spare. Since then, 3 months have passed, with my characters getting steadily more powerful, and I can now clear this chamber with over 80 seconds to spare. I am excited by the future challenges I am certain miHoYo have in store for us. My hope is that you found this enjoyable and perhaps learned something new from this video. Thanks for watching. I will briefly run through the gear I'm using. I started playing 2 weeks after launch and rerolled a few accounts until I got Venti. Since then, I have been buying the $5 a month welcome pack, and I have picked up 3 of the $10 battle passes. I haven't yet felt the need to purchase gems directly from the store, as the purchases I have made have been sufficient for me to progress at a good rate through this game. Going fully free to play would have been possible as well, but less fun, as I would have had less resources to try out different types of teams. Of the 8 characters you are seeing here, 5 of them are at a decent gear level. Xiangling still needs a 5-star helm, and I have not yet started farming for Albedo and Zhongli. As you can see, they are just using scavenged sets I had lying around. I could easily boost their damage by about 20% in the next few weeks. Again, thanks for watching.
Benny's Adventure Team, assemble!